start the next presentation. Our second speakers are Casey Davidson and Dr. Andreas Huemer. I'll never get it. Sorry, man.
I'm Austrian. Sorry for that.
I'm just. Casey recently returned to Australia from Cambodia, where she was a teacher to young children. She loves learning about different cultures and has a passion to create a global, sustainable future. Andreas moved to Australia in 2012 and has a PhD in computational intelligence with a background in software engineering. Their topic is THN, a realistic roadmap to sustainability without abandoning technology. Please welcome them.
I'm Casey, this is Andreas, and we're here to present THN today. And I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone who's here today, who's taken this time out of their day to be here. And also, we are recording this, so thank you to everyone online who's hopefully going to watch this. Just by being here, you are already contributing to a better future, just by learning about the ideas that people are sharing. So thank you very much for that. Just a question, first of all. Who is attending the Zeitgeist meeting or event for the first time? So that's really awesome. Like, we're getting more and more people join all the time, so it's really cool. First of all, we've just got a few resources. As you can see, we've all handed you the questionnaire. The questionnaire is to be filled out throughout the presentation, so please just wait until we get to the slide where we have a discussion about it before filling it out. Also, we have some more resources. The 3-link protocol, which we'll discuss later on. This is a really good idea for networking, and so we'll talk about that later. And also, this presentation will be available on our Facebook page and also on our website, so you can have a look at that later too. Okay, so just get started. Today I'm not here to talk about the problems. We already know what they are. I think most people who are here today are quite aware of the things that are going on in the world, and it's a very crazy time to be alive, living in a place where we have to witness things like this, the animal cruelty, the greed, the war, climate change, and extreme poverty. And personally, I think all of us feel the same way. We don't want to live in a world like this. And we know that it's going to be really great if we could transition to something like an RBE. And it's great that, I think it was really great to start with Andrew's presentation on what an RBE is and why it's so important for us to move in that direction. But I think even a lot of people in this room probably feel like it's really hard to achieve. Like, it almost seems like like utopian almost. Like, it seems like it would be really great if we could get there, but how do we get there? So that's what we're here to talk about today with our framework. Okay, so I've got your first job for you now. I'd like to see if you guys could just look at the top of the questionnaire. There's 2 boxes on there, and if you could write in there 2 inadequately met human needs.
Is this for us personally or for?
It's up to you. If you want to write 2 needs that aren't being met for you personally, whatever you like, then you can. If you prefer to write it based on the previous slide, you can do that too. Up to you. It's probably easier if you do something more personal though. It's not a test. It's just to get you guys involved, so that it's the way I like to present as well. I like to make it interactive so that you guys feel involved. See a lot of faces. Okay, so this is a basic overview of some human needs. This still doesn't actually entail them all. In the middle you can see sustenance, food, shelter and water, and they're our basic human needs. And there's quite a few more basic human needs, and the ones around the outside you wouldn't put in as basic human needs, but they still are. They still are human needs. They are things that we all need to live happily, to live without suffering. And I'm just wondering how many people put in basic human needs. Yeah, and I think that's a common thing for most people to just think human needs are just our basic human needs, but they're not. Would they extend beyond that? We have a need for freedom. We have a need for education, for curiosity. We have a need for love. We have a need for meaning and purpose in life. So, and this comes from Manfred Mack's needs, human needs list, and these are really similar also on nonviolent communication. If you've heard of, what's his name? Marshall Rosenberg.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs as well.
Yeah, we decided not to go with Maslow's because Maslow's was still very based on the capitalist system.
And it is a hierarchy.
It's a scientifically tested hierarchy of needs. These fit into that as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'll explain to that. Stop distracting.
Okay, and what we just wanted to make clear as well is the difference between a facility and a human need. So, as you can see here, we feel like we need a car, but the car isn't the actual need, it's a facility. It's a facility to meet the needs that you can see here, the ones in yellow. You have a need for identity, and some people identify themselves through their car. Not everybody, but some people might feel like it's a big part of who they are. And a need for freedom, a need for recreation, food, participation, so even to go and collect your food from somewhere. So in essence, you can see what the needs are, and that's the facility that's providing the need. But, we have a look here. Everyone remember the Jetsons? And this was actually really cool because we've actually got this technology exists now, right? Like ET3s, it's not being used, but it's out there. The people are working on actually making this available for people. This technology can meet the same needs as a car. It may not meet the need for identity, as you can see, but it may meet the need for safety, and cars don't actually meet that need. Not really. Even the safest cars that you've got, they still don't meet that need. So this is actually providing a different need, and the way we would look at this is that, okay, so maybe this facility doesn't meet the need for identity, but I'm sure something else could. Okay. Would this lifestyle meet your needs? I'm just curious, who would actually love to live this like? Yeah. And I mean, I can see a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people like, I just want to get away from like this crazy society and just go live somewhere, yeah, like on the edge of a cliff with the breeze in my face and I'm running along, you know. And but really, if you think about this seriously, would it really meet your needs? Would it meet your needs for community participation? Would it meet your need to interact with other people? There's so many problems with having this lifestyle. It sounds really great, but really, being isolated, being away from a community, makes it really hard to meet all your needs. So, and no disrespect meant for people that do live this lifestyle. If you do live on a commune or you're working towards something like that, then power to you. If you can live like an eco-friendly life and have like a really low carbon footprint, then of course, like I have absolutely nothing against that. That's awesome. But we don't expect other people to do this because we know it doesn't meet people's needs usually. Okay, so here's your next test. Revise your 2 inadequately met needs if necessary. On the next 2 lines, we've got the 2 more boxes. If you think the needs that you wrote actually still make sense to you after just that discussion, then just leave them. But if you would still like to write some other needs that you've thought about after talking about that, then you've got those other 2 boxes underneath. Okay, I think everyone's looking up now. Okay, so I can see quite a few people wrote different needs. Who actually thought that they needed to revise the need? Actually write something completely different. Cool, so a few people, and some people just felt like adding to that as well. Who felt like adding, just they needed to add to that? So most people here. Alright, these are the needs that we actually came up with together when we were working on in Cambodia, but I'll move over to Andreas to talk about stability.
Yeah. So stability was probably the need that I found was most important to me and not met, especially in Cambodia. So it's quite hard when you're traveling or when you're in a third world country living there. quite hard to have any stability. You don't know much about it, and contribution was important for me too. That was both of us, but like my big thing was stability, and it's based on different things. The main thing now is that like you need a stable income. More generally speaking, you need a stable supply of resources. But what it is now is you need a stable income or some other way that could supply it. Which is then it goes bigger, because a stable income or jobs or something like that is based on a stable economy. And we heard earlier about automation that is necessary, and like it's less and less likely to have a stable job and that thus a stable income. But there are other factors too, because we need a stable environment. So the climate changes and things like that. We need an adaptability. So all these factors come together, and I found that in our current situation, this is something that is that needs to be addressed more.
Yeah, so when we thought about that, I really thought about contribution as the need that wasn't being met for me strongly. I have worked in many different roles. I'm a teacher. I've worked as a teacher for many years. I studied journalism. I've always had the same thought that I want to change the world, that I want to make this a better place, that I don't like the way things are heading and I want to go in a different direction. But I didn't feel, and I still don't really feel, I feel like I'm heading more in that direction now, but that I wasn't making a strong enough contribution to the planet and to the future. So much so that I've been against the point of even having children or something like that, because I'm like, why would I want to do something like that? Why would I bring people into this world when the world is heading in this direction? Yes.
Have you watched Idiocracy?
Which one is it?
It's a movie called Idiocracy.
If you haven't watched it, it's
Idiocracy.
fantastic.
Okay. I'll have to watch that one. I'll write it down. Yeah, so I feel that my need for contribution is being met very strongly, and Andreas and I felt the same way about those.
And yeah, this was our motivation, or some of the needs that we tried to focus on, also when to have to guide us when we develop what we are talking about now.
So what do you require to meet your needs? On your little piece of paper again, don't worry, you don't have to do this through the whole presentation, it's mainly at the beginning. What kind of things do you need? Like before we wrote down, there was a picture of a car, and a car meets these particular needs. So what kind of, with the needs that you wrote down, what kind of facilities? There's 5 little boxes there that you can fill in with. You don't have to fill in 5.
Yeah, most of it all goes to utopia, basically, perfect.
You can write whatever you like. Like if you want to write down that you can have those needs met in a utopia, that's fine. If you want to write down the needs that you need met in this current system that we're living in, it's okay to write down that you need a car.
Yeah.
That's completely understandable. It does meet needs.
What sort of facility needs to be for
You tell me.
That's what I thought.
I don't know, maybe we don't have like a
I think that's beer.
something like that, but maybe we need something like that, you know? Okay, so here's a few things we identified, and we put it into a Wordle. What we really wanted to do, but it might take a little bit too long to do it today. I mean, when we collect these questionnaires up, what we'd like to do is make a Wordle like this. And what it does, if say everyone's written car, it'll make car the biggest word. So you can actually see which facility is the one that people need the most for their need that isn't being met. And so we can, we'll do that later when we collect these up, and then we can put that up there, and we can actually see the people in this room of what they need. So anyway, from the needs that we discussed, our personal needs that we aren't getting met for us, we've actually come up with a personal vision. So this is our personal vision for the future. We've just kind of broken it down. Of course we want to work to a reasonable resource-based economy. But what we'd like to have is a distributed system that minimizes exploitation of people and the environment, that utilizes science and technology to its fullest extent, not just a little bit, incorporates human potential and natural processes, so human innovation, meets human needs, of course, and grows, and these last 2 points are the ones that I really want to point out. It grows within the current system, and it allows us to enjoy the benefits of the current system. So this is what we were talking about before. It's not about having to make sacrifices. We don't want people to have to run away and live an unhappy life in order to save the planet. We want them to still be able to have their needs met and be happy now.
I also think that if you don't allow this, then it will be hard to bring more and more people in.
So other people that aren't maybe as like-minded as us. Okay, so here is the framework that we've developed, a framework and a culture, I like to call it. It's called THN, and it's about technology, human potential, and nature all supporting each other.
So first of all, let's summarize what THN not is. If you have a system that is not that does not fit in our framework, components exploit each other. So for example, technology exploits people, or technology exploits nature. Human potentials of people exploit nature, which always falls back to the people, or people are directly exploited. As an example here again, back to the car. A car is something that meets human needs, but the car as a technology exploits nature by pollution or using non-renewable resources. Of course, there are different technologies with electric motors. But you still have, like, if you have a lot of cars, you still have traffic jams, for example. Traffic jams make people lose time. And it can be electric cars, but still people lose time in traffic jams. So this is not really a THN facility, something that is supportive for all components and meets our needs in a sustainable way. So we have the three components: technology, human potential, and nature. And I'll go through the three components. So what is technology? We just use the Wikipedia definition. Technology is the making, modification, usage, and knowledge of tools, machines, techniques, crafts, systems, and methods of organization in order to solve a problem, improve a pre-existing solution to a problem, achieve a goal, handle an applied input-output relation, or perform a specific function. The important thing that I want to emphasize here is it's not just a device. It's also methods. It's processes. It can be much more abstract things. It's not stuff you can grab. Some examples of technologies that fit within the concept, or at least can be used in THN. Earthships are a great example because it uses so many components. It uses technologies like solar and wind power, recycling, permaculture, and water purification. But it's a very integrated system, so it does not produce any waste, or at least reduces it a lot. And it uses a very clever design to use the solar energy most efficiently. So there are solar panels that power the house, but also it has a clever design that actually makes air conditioning automatically by the structure of the house and does not need an air conditioner. So we thought this is a good example for a technology that fits in THN. Another example would be aquaponics. It's aquaponics, for those who don't know it. It is a combination of hydroponics and aquafarming, which means that fish are used to fish food is fed to the fish, and they produce nutrients for the plants. But bacteria need to convert those nutrients so that they can be used up by plants, and plants clean the water. So it's kind of a closed system. There is more involved, but one thing, for example, is that they use much less water than traditional farming. And for this sense, we think that also this is a good example how the technology can fit in a THN framework. And specific technologies that are used with it or can be used with it is hydroponics, automation, and control systems. Another technology, or like a big area, is robotics and also other machines. Specific technologies that I use there is ITCs, artificial intelligence, and hydraulics. With robots, you can then see how one technology can be used for different things. Like robots can, for example, be used for wars. So that does obviously not fit into THN, but they can be used to produce things. They can be used in science or for medical applications. And so it depends always how you use a certain process, how you use a certain technology, if they then fit into what we call THN. Some examples where you can see the exploitation, just to make the contrast, what fits in, what not. Money can exploit people. I think for many people here that is obvious, and we heard a little bit already earlier. Just one particular thing is with interest. Money goes to the richest, and that's how poorer people are exploited. Just as one example. Weapons, I think, are pretty obvious how they exploit people, and TVs can be another example with all the commercials and propaganda and things like that.
Just plain lies.
Yeah.
News.
I think the best thing we used to put it on eBay.
Yeah.
Unplug the stereo on the computer.
That's the thing. Yeah, because it's still a good screen. An example where technology exploits human nature and indirectly again human people is with many production facilities. Many production facilities pollute the air or produce other problems in the environment. Technologies that are used for overfishing, or particularly for example dynamite fishing, and fracking, which like changes the soil and makes things, like pollutes the soil and makes things unstable sometimes. Then I would like to come to the next point. So technology was the first. The second point is human potential. What is human potential? What do we see as human potential? It's the knowledge, the skills, physical abilities, resilience, and team guys, just as examples. It's everything that is within us to empower us to do things. Team guys, we had here, it's like team spirit, it's the ability to work well together.
But we've thrown a German word.
Yeah, like zeitgeist. Human potential used in THN, I think you would like to say something about this.
Just with nonviolent communication, it's one of my favorite things. Nonviolent communication fits really well in THN because it's all about reducing suffering or reducing the probability of suffering, and it's all about meeting human needs. Has anyone looked into much nonviolent communication? Who knows a bit about it? Just a few people in the room. I highly suggest looking up nonviolent communication. Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, he talks about a way to communicate your needs without having confrontations. So you can, both people in a conflict can have their needs met. And these can be really simple things like being mad at someone for not doing the dishes and being able to communicate to another person more effectively so that both needs are met for each person. It's really, really cool stuff. It fits really well within the THN network framework, and it provides education, cooperation in groups, and also clarity of your own thoughts, so that you can actually think about what you need most in life.
The second example that we would like to mention is something called three-link protocol. It's a very simple protocol, a standard, how you can communicate with each other for networking purposes, for problem solving, and to use existing skills. We have more materials later if you're interested in this, talk about later. It's really simple, and what it does is it frees your mind. You don't need to think, who can I talk to about a certain topic, because it just says simply, like, it's a process that you can go through, really simple, to come to a solution or to find something that you need.
And Andreas developed this himself, and I don't like to say. It's really cool.
Wikis are a great example of using human potential in THN. It's a way of collaboration. You can manage knowledge with it. It can be used for education, and it provides equal opportunity for everyone to contribute and to access the knowledge. Just a few examples. I guess everyone knows Wikipedia. Then there is a knowledge base for RBEM that explains all the concepts, introduces examples, so for example for facilities that can be used or how the different concepts work. Another one that I would like to mention is WikiHouse. I don't know if anyone has heard about that. No? WikiHouse is a wiki that provides blueprints and introductions for cheap houses that everyone, ideally, can build themselves. But it's open source houses. Again, with human potential, there are ways to exploit if things are not used properly, to be in are not used in a sustainable way, and then do not fit in the THN concept. Some examples are invasive species, which are in most cases brought in by people, littering, or hunting for fun. Then there is direct exploitation. People exploit people directly. They make people sick that can come from littering again, or in many cases technology is used with that, but it can come directly as well. Later in the presentation we will talk a bit more about religions, because religions are very often used for exploitation. And crime is pretty obvious, I guess. The third component of THN is nature. How can nature be used? But first, how do we define nature? Nature is all observable physical, chemical, and biological structures and processes that can be learned from and used. There are different definitions available about nature, but this is how we would like to define nature for the THN concept. And I would like to have a few remarks on that. Observable. Everything that is observable is natural. It can be directly or indirectly observable. So you can use technology to observe something, or you can conclude indirectly with logic. But it's everything that is observable is natural. So that is, for us, that is by definition. The probability of something to be observable is completely irrelevant. So there is no supernatural by definition, because everything you can observe is natural. There are, like miracles, for example, are personal experiences. They are not unnatural, they are personal experiences. I would like to give you a little example. Let's assume that there are 1 million lottery tickets, and one lottery ticket wins the jackpot. Let's say you win the jackpot, then you might think that's a miracle, but it is a completely personal experience, because if there is one lottery ticket that wins the jackpot, then the probability that someone wins it is 100%. And on another note, maybe you have prayed for it. So let's see, maybe 100 people have prayed to win the lottery. So 99,999 people who prayed to win the lottery, to win the jackpot, did not win it. So I just would like to raise the question, how efficient do you think is praying?
Test it.
So now there are the different things that we mentioned here with physical, chemical, and biological structures and processes. I would like to give some examples for that. From biology, we can learn and use nervous systems, swarm intelligence, evolution, different body parts, the digestive systems, photosynthesis. We can learn from it and use it with technologies or use the processes directly. To learn from nature, or to learn from biology and use it in technology is called bionics. And an example for that is to learn how, to see how birds fly or how fish are moving in the water, and learn from that and build robots that can more efficiently move through the water or through the air. Or we had one example earlier with the Earth ships. Natural processes are observed, and in nature, for example, ant nests are very well air conditioned without any electricity, and we can learn from that too. AI is also used in terms of bionics. So we use nervous systems, swarm intelligence, and evolution. We look how it works in nature, and then transfer it to artificial intelligence, and we can drive machines with it, robots or other like decision-making systems. Then one example how biological processes can be used directly with technology then, and within systems that we create. Again, from an example from before, the bacteria in an aquaponic system transform the nutrients from the fish to usable nutrients for the plants. So we just use that. We just combine things and use the natural processes directly. From physics, it's basically just a little list: thermodynamics, gravity, sunlight, magnetism, nuclear physics, quantum physics. Basically everything, every technology is of course based on physics. So we can give a specific example. For example, sunlight can be used to convert things, to produce usable energy, solar energy. But you can't do this with everything because physics is the basics of everything. A few examples for chemistry, how can that be used in THN, but like in science and technology in general. We can synthesize materials and molecules. We can use it for heating and cooling, for cleaning agents, or for energy storage. With nature, we did not have exploitation errors early in the little image we had, because nature is nothing we can change. Nature is not good or bad. Nature just is. Gravity, for example, can drive something to a wheel to produce energy, and we can use that. But gravity also can make us fall, and we could die or injure ourselves. So we just have to accept it and use it.
So after this, we've developed a definition for THN: the use of technology, human potential, and nature to support technology, human potential, and nature to meet human needs now and in the future. So this is the framework we stick by, and this is also a culture that we'd like to develop. Okay, so back to our discussion points. We've got the next question on our little questionnaire.
We're at the markets for hours, we stock up for months, so just
Oh,
markets
yeah.
and trade,
Yeah.
organic or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. I know Norley Street Market? Is that-
They were at Eagle Farm.
Eagle Farm, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, there's some really good ones there, and yeah, that provide a sustainable product to people. Yeah. Any others? I know it might be a difficult thing to think of right now, or maybe we've mentioned a lot of. Yeah.
Mine doesn't actually exist yet.
Okay. That's fine.
But a system of government where we don't actually vote on people, where we vote on decisions and the population.
Oh, that's awesome that you say that. We're getting to that.
Alright.
Yeah, yeah. But we will see if it's the same kind of thing or if there's something. I mean, we can always improve on ideas as well. So it's really cool to be in a room with like-minded people.
Again, it's
Yeah.
what's human
Yeah.
bias.
I'm not sure, but is homeschooling one? That we could educate these ideas?
It could be. It depends. I wouldn't just say homeschooling is one because it's just like TV in that TV can be used to exploit people and homeschooling could be the same one.